Hey there, Andrea Seydel here. I hope you're doing amazing. So, I highlighted such an amazing book this week, and I'm so excited to share it with you. Oh my gosh, this is like such a wonderful, just mind blowing concept. And I just think it's so refreshing. So, I'm wondering if you've ever wondered if the human brain is capable of changing, regardless of the age or our circumstances. Have you ever thought that, I wonder how if I could use my brain, if I could change it, is that possible? Or are we just, do we have to keep going on automatic pilot? And so this book by Norman Doidge, he really does. It's called The Brain That Changes Itself. It's basically stories of personal triumph from the frontiers in brain science. So this book basically shatters the long held belief that the brain is almost structured or hardwired or fixed, and that it's actually unalterable. Like we can't change it, and we can't change it after a certain age. It's just like if you maybe you experience a stroke or something, and then you just think that or you have brain trauma, and you think that you're stuck with that injury, and or you are, you can't learn a new language or things like that. It's like through so much exploration inside this book, he does present us with this concept of neuroplasticity. This is so fantastic because neuroplasticity is all about the fact that the brain can reorganize itself and actually create new neurological pathways, and it can reorganize its functionality, it can reorganize its structure in response to new experiences, in response to learning, in response to even injury. We can create new neurological pathways. The brain can actually change itself. The brain that changes itself, it really does. And so I just love this idea because it makes us realize that, okay, so we can, through learning and growth, we can actually change the way our brain is. We can change the pathways. It's not static and stuck and hardwired. It's actually plastic and malleable and changeable. And so this concept, he talks, the main key takeaways in his book is that he talks about this concept of neuroplasticity, and that the brain is not rigid, but it's actually remarkably adaptable and capable of actually reorganizing pathways and creating even new pathways. And it's capable of doing this. And he's done a lot of research, and that we can even reassign function to different parts of the brain. So this adaptability, it's just amazing. It seems that it's not just young brains that are developing. It's actually been shown that we are, although when we're younger, we're naturally more pliable, but at any, even aged brains, he shows that we are capable of so much more than we realize. And some of his research has been on people who have been through brain injury or stroke, and he has seen firsthand the evidence of brains rewiring. And so he does really illustrate how patients with brain injuries or even like just neurological issues, they have recovered, that they can return to their functionality that they previously thought was lost. And this is so profound and so amazing, right? So this can help us, that we literally can rewire our brains, that, through challenges that, maybe the traditional model is that we viewed our brains as basically the functions in localized areas in our brain are fixed. And if we lose them, we lose that functionality. Whereas this concept of neuroplasticity says that, well, we can create new pathways, and we can relearn things, and we can, or learn new things and create new pathways. And so this is so profound. It helps us on so many levels, like how we might, treat things like stroke recovery, how we might treat things like learning difficulties or depression or obsessive compulsive disorder or even ADHD. Like, so these treatments, they rely on the brain's ability to form new neurological connections. So you can see how his research is so profound and can help so much in the medical world. And that's incredible, right? That the brain's ability to form, we rely on that, the brain's ability to form new neurological connections, right? That can help us then improve our cognitive functioning. So this is so transformational. It can help. Basically, this what he talks about in his book is he gives evidence of all these people that maybe have gone through or suffered a stroke, that maybe were unable to speak and that they've relearned to speak and communicate again. And so this just shows you the underscoring of this human resilience or resilience of the human spirit and how we can actually use this idea of neuroplasticity to help us in so many ways and provide us with so much hope, right? And so he does in his book challenge this idea, and he doesn't shy away from challenging um neuroscience and also this paradigm that was once considered the brain is not necessarily adaptable at a certain age, but it is. And so this he really does challenge this notion, and that it seemed impossible at a certain age to like develop these areas of the brains, but it shows that through his studies and through studying people who have gone through brain trauma or challenge or things like that, that we have the capacity and the capabilities of this amazingness of new neurological pathways. So, oh my gosh, this book, The Brain That Changes Itself, is a book about science, but also about hope. It provides us with hope for transformation. And it just helps us. And this book really does effectively communicate how our brains are not fixed entities, they're not hardwired, and that it's a dynamic organ, right? That continues to evolve, that continues to adapt, and that offers us so much potential for lifelong mental fitness and recovery and all kinds of things. And so, what was so really impactful for me and interesting is this concept that our brain is not rigidly hardwired, but it's flexible and it's capable of changing throughout our lives. And it's so fascinating because it does show us how people with significant neurological issues, they've managed to recover. They've managed to recover functionalities that previously were considered irrecoverable. And so I just love this idea that we can relearn, the idea that someone can relearn, to speak even after a stroke or regain balance after, through mental exercise is so, so powerful. And then also, what's actionable from his book is just this idea of this application of neuroplasticity. Like, basically, we know if we know that our brains are able, we can rewire our brains, so to speak, then holy cow, this opens up the world for us. And it really helps us to, for me, it's like, okay, well, you hear the rumors that, okay, you're going to cognitively decline as you get older. It's like, oh my gosh, this is so depressing. But you know what? This cognitive decline associated with aging doesn't have to be. And this book really does encourage us to take a proactive approach to enhancing our brain health, to enhancing our capabilities for learning and just mental exercise. I love this concept. And it's so meaningful, right? It can help us in so many ways. And just knowing that the brain can change and adapt, it gives us so much hope. And especially when we felt maybe traditionally stuck, or like we have limiting beliefs, and that things felt unchangeable and felt like limitations, now opens up the world for so many, right? And it also can help with interventions and help with the whole medical community. And it does shift us from a place of despair potentially to a place of potential optimism, where like we can be excited. Like if we see this new lens, and looking at things and viewing that our personal challenges and our mental issues, it's like, okay, we can look at them from a place of compassion and hope, because we know that our brain is malleable, our brain is adaptable, and we can really help ourselves. So this is such a powerful message of resilience and just human potential in general. So, yeah, so he talks a little bit about how developing our brain by enhancing our routines. So, what we want to do is adapt this into the insights from his book, allow this concept of exploration of neuroplasticity and see how we can adapt it into our own life and create routines of mental and physical exercises. And all of this can stimulate our brain function and encourage neural growth. So, what are some of the things that we can do? You know me, I love actionable nuggets. And what are the things we can do to maintain and enhance our cognitive abilities, especially as we age? And so some of the things are doing mental exercises. So he talks about this idea of engaging in lifelong learning. Oh my gosh, my top character strength is love of learning. So I love reading books, multiple books every single week and taking the key takeaways, but not just taking in the knowledge. I love to digest the content and figure out how I can take those nuggets of wisdom and apply it to my life. And so some of it, this is what we can do, is this idea of continually challenging our brains by learning new skills, by maybe trying a new language, maybe a new musical instrument, or even a new sport. And these activities actually help us build new neurological pathways, and they strengthen existing ones as well. So cool. He also talks about practicing mindfulness and meditation because regular mindfulness practices has been shown to increase the gray matter in our brain, which actually enhance areas responsible for memory, for emotional regulation, and for executive decision making. So high functioning brain activity. So mindfulness and meditation, so powerful for mental exercises. He does also talk about puzzles, like solving puzzles and incorporating puzzles like crosswords. I love Sudoku. It's one of my favorites, and just brain teasers into our daily routines because these activities enhance our problem solving skills and they keep our minds sharp. So this is so powerful and it's fun too, right? So these are mental activities and exercises that help develop our brain enhancing, like basically all it helps us create new neurological pathways and keep our cognitive abilities strong and enhance them. He also emphasizes, and I love this, he emphasizes the importance of physical exercise and how regular physical exercise not only benefits our body, but also has a huge impact on the brain. So, activities like walking or swimming or yoga, they all improve blood flow to the brain and they can stimulate growth for new brain cells and be really powerful for our cognitive functioning. Not to mention, if you're like hiking and walking on trails, you got to use your brain and, like, you're navigating this amazing trail and roots coming out and things like that. You are using your brain, and physical exercise has been shown to really, really bring oxygen to the brain and help us. So the other thing he talks about is this idea of hand-eye coordination exercises. So activities that require precise hand-eye coordination. Maybe it's ping pong, maybe it's juggling. Oh my gosh, I've been dying to be able to juggle 3 balls. It's so hard. So I'll take some lemons and limes and I'll start juggling those. Anyway, so needless to say, my limes and lemons get really, really soft as I drop so many of them, but it's so fun. So it's just enhancing our neurological connections and improving our overall brain health by trying things that provide and need hand-eye coordination. I love pickleball as well. So he also talks about social interacting. Believe it or not, if we maintain social connections, strong social connections, social interacting actually stimulates your brain through conversation, right? Through emotional connection. And these are all crucial for brain health. And we want to engage with our community. We want to engage in activities, maybe some clubs, maybe some groups. And that this is so great because it provides us with mental stimulation. So you can see how putting these practices into our daily routine can really help us shape our brain development and our longevity. And it can harness this idea and these principles of neuroplasticity that can help us prevent cognitive decline. It can help us enhance our cognitive reserves and help us enhance us to ensure that we are sharp and more resilient with our mind at any age. So I'm curious, the brain that changes itself, I'm wondering how this will impact you. How will this help you? And what's possible for you, right? In terms of your cognitive and your emotional growth. I love this concept because it shows us that we can just keep using our brain and developing it and making it stronger and more resilient. And that there's so much potential for renewal, for new pathways, and that proving that change is often so important, and our brains just as much, like our brain can change and it's in our hands. We can influence this. So, some of the things that I was thinking that I would apply to my life from this learning is this idea of constant personal development and lifelong learning. 100% I want to keep this in my world. And I even said I don't ever want to retire. I always want to be reading, writing, publishing books. And I just plan to keep this a part of my world. And so the concept of neuroplasticity can really in order to continuously expand my cognitive abilities and my adaptability, I want to embrace this idea of lifelong learning, even if it's like starting a new hobby or playing a new instrument or starting to learn to sing or something different. Trust me, I will promise you, I will only sing to myself in my car. You don't want to hear me sing. Okay, so and just to aim to constantly activate my brain and engage with growth and learning. And this is amazing. This can have huge impact, maybe challenging our brain with puzzles and brain games and things like that to really strengthen our neurological connections, becoming an expert in something new, right? Practice, 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 and create those new neurological pathways. The other thing, which I love this concept, is we can use this concept of neuroplasticity to overcome personal challenges, right? So, say you were struggling with falling asleep, or you wanted to adapt better sleep habits and or overcome sleep difficulties. But recognizing that your brain can adapt and form new habits, then we could use that to our advantage. So maybe we start doing better a strict bedtime routine, or maybe we do things to promote relaxation and prepare our minds for sleep. Maybe we read a book before bed. Maybe we practice meditation. Maybe we listen to calming music, right? We can really activate and shift our brain to with the associations of bedtime is there for rest and relaxation and, free from stress. And so by actively working to recondition our sleep environment as well and to reinforce these new patterns can optimize our bedtime, our sleep. Maybe we make our room darker. Maybe we have cooler temperatures in our rooms and all these things. By consistently practicing new behaviors, they say the neurons that wire together fire together. The neurons that fire together wire together. They go both ways. So the more we practice something, the easier it is to go down that path. And so, yeah, hopefully that helps us fall asleep and stay asleep and have a good night's sleep. And that could be really powerful. So it can help us in so many ways overcome personal challenges as well, rewiring our brain. And so I'm curious, how will you harness the transformative power of neuroplasticity? How will you use neuroplasticity to reshape your mind? And how will you use it to enhance your life? So please, please, please provide me with some feedback. Maybe write in the comments if you're watching on YouTube, or just message me. I would love to hear how this book is going to affect you as well. And that's it, my friends. That is the book, The Brain That Changes Itself by Norman Doidge. Such a good book, and so many just aha light bulb moments going off for me while I read this book. And I hope that it had a little impact on you as well. So thanks, everybody. I'll have a new book for you next week.